Hello, and you're watching Razzmatazz with Rashi. Today we have with us Asfiya Rahman with a book, Life with a Pinch of Salt. She's a management postgraduate, she's a teacher, author of a trilogy, Wildcard, and also the winner of the Story Awards 2020. So in this episode, we'll get to know a lot more about her and her life. Also, before moving forward, I'd like to tell the audience that at the end of this episode, you will get a question. And if you write the correct answer in the comments below, you stand a chance to win the mega prize at the end of the season. You'll get the answer in this episode itself, so watch it till the end. And this contest is only for the subscribers, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Welcome, Asfiya. How are you?
Thank you, Rashi. I'm fine. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So tell our audience something about yourself and all the things that you do.
Okay, so first of all, hi everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and get to know everyone here who are subscribing to this channel. So as Rashi said, my name is Asfiya Rahman. I'm a management postgraduate and I have always had a love for books. So at a very young age, I used to love reading. And my childhood dream, was kind of like to be an author. But, when you're growing up, especially in the era which I grew up, these were things which were considered, fantasies. People study and they grow up to be one of four professionals. You become a doctor, engineer,
that's it,
or a lawyer, or you go into private sector. So that's it. So with that in mind, I studied with a business background and I have actually taught in professional institutes. Okay. But reading was something which was always a very important part of my life. And later on, it has led me to the field of writing. I have worked as a content writer for many years. And for the past, I would say about 7-8 years, I have started writing fiction, which gives me a lot of satisfaction. And that is one thing which if I could share with anyone, I would like to say that, when you fulfill something which was a childhood dream without realizing it, it gives you an immense sense of satisfaction. So when
different kind of joy.
Exactly. When my first book came out, that's when I realized that, oh yes, when I was young, this is what I wanted. You don't consciously maybe think of your childhood dreams, but if they are really true, and they stick to you somehow and you come around to them.
And if you're really passionate about it, you do get some time to fulfill that dream.
Exactly. I think more than that, if you're really passionate about it, you find a way to do it. So I've lived in hostels for like 10, 11 years where you don't really have much, but I've always had my books. Everyone always remembers that, yes, she always had something to read because that's just something I'm very passionate about. So for someone who loves to read, to be able to write, it just gives immense joy.
So how did this book happen? Tell us more about the Life with a Pinch of Salt.
So like I said, I started writing fiction a few years back. And one of the first things that I did was, it was just a writing contest and I had entered it, just like as a fluke. And I wrote a short story. It was one of the winning entries. And after that, it started off my career as a writer, but I didn't write short stories after that. Life with a Pinch of Salt came about basically, I would say, because of the pandemic. When the pandemic started, I was actually working on a novel. And that novel, incidentally, is, I would say it's halfway done, but I found it very difficult to concentrate. For a period of 1.5 years, whenever I would sit down with my manuscript, I was just not able to concentrate and get through it, in its entirety for whatever reasons. Honestly speaking, I've been very lucky. No one in my family has been directly affected.
But you still get affected, like with the surroundings and all the news.
Where there was so much stress and tension, and more than anything, I think it was a fear. I found it very difficult to concentrate. And I ended up doing two things. One, I ended up reading a whole lot more.
Oh, that's good.
Because those of you who remember when the pandemic started, a lot of ebooks were available freely. Till 2019, I didn't believe too much in ebooks. And then 2020, I found out there's so many ebooks for free. So I thought, okay,
a different world to discover. Yes.
Exactly. So I started reading a lot, and I then found myself writing short stories.
Okay.
Because it's something I didn't want to give up writing, but I was really finding it difficult to concentrate enough for a manuscript. And, Maya Angelou once said, and this is a quote I really love, that there is no greater agony than having an untold story inside you.
Yes.
So I started writing my stories, which were now short stories. And I wrote quite a few short stories in, I would say, a period of 1.5 years.
Okay.
And I didn't really know what to do with the short stories because publishers don't like to really publish a physical collection of short stories much. I'm seeing that trend changing now, but normally it's not a very popular thing unless you're famous, which sadly I'm not. If I was, maybe
you will be.
One can hope.
Yes.
But that's how this book came about. I had a collection of short stories. I was writing it, and I was wondering, what to do with it. So one thing which I could have done was enter them in different anthologies, but that really doesn't give the kind of satisfaction that it does when you have it in one place.
Correct.
And Block Charter came out with this thing where they were doing an ebook, and I have never published my own ebook. So I felt that for me, this is also a learning experience to know what is it that goes into
what all goes into publishing,
so that if later on I do want to pursue this option in any way, because I see these days there are so many authors who are what we call hybrid authors, like you publish some books as ebooks and you have some coming
also go through traditional publishing as well.
Exactly. So I felt that this was something which kind of made the last 1.5 years come together for me as a writer. Also, I felt that all my work hasn't been in vain, and I got to learn something from this experience. That's how this book came about. It's about different short stories, and all of them are about, it's a collection of short stories. The thing in common with them, I'd say, is that they're all about how life, is very rarely the way we plan it. It's we plan certain things, we expect certain things to happen,
and something very different happens.
But it's not what you thought you want all along. I mean, that's the common thing I would say in most of the stories.
Nice. So you've also written a trilogy, like Wildcard. So what is that, and like how did you come up with a trilogy?
So that's really a very interesting story. The first book that I wrote is Wildcard. That is a sports drama. It is a book about a retired tennis player. This came out in 2016. And when this book came out, the first question that I was asked is, why are you writing a book about a retired tennis player? You want to write sports, write cricket. Why in India a tennis player? Okay. So the thing behind this is this book was published by Half Baked Beans. And they were the ones who came up with this idea. So this is basically a co-authorship. And incidentally, if anyone in the audience likes writing, Half Baked Beans has since started their co-authorship scheme again, I think. Okay. So they come up with an idea. Half Baked Beans likes to publish books which are slightly different. So I had approached them with a manuscript, and they told me that while they won't publish this book, they like my writing style and they have an idea in mind if I would like to work on it. Okay. And I was very keen then to have something published under my own name, because I had been working as a content writer for many years. And while, you get to write a lot of stuff, you never get the credit for it normally. You don't get to see your name published, and normally you don't even get to see the ultimate final product all the time. So this is a story of a retired Indian tennis player. Okay. But at heart, it is the story of Karan, who is the tennis player, and his daughter, Roshni. Roshni is 8 years old in this book. She's a paraplegic, which means that she's on a wheelchair. She can't walk at all. And her mother died right when she was born. So this story at heart is about a father and a daughter and the relationship that exists with them. Because you see, especially in today's world, I think when families are small, one thing you'll notice if you have any little girls in your family, daughters have their fathers wrapped around their fingers. Fathers are normally terrified of their daughters because they can't say no to them. It's like, we cannot say no to our daughters. So, and most of the time we talk about mothers as, parents. And this book basically explores the relationship between a father and a daughter.
Father-daughter. Okay. And, so is it like completely fiction, or is it like inspired by...
It's completely fiction. It's completely fiction. The book did well. And so we then went on Chetan and I. Chetan was the one who had the original idea. He's the owner of Half Baked Beans. We then made it a trilogy where the second book is about another girl who's very interested in tennis.
Okay.
And I think the reason people have liked all three of these books are, while the stories are about tennis, tennis is the backdrop. You know, it could have been anything else. So the first book is basically a father-daughter relationship. Yes. The second is about, you know, just being a young female in India who wants to do something outside the career path.
Yeah.
So in the second book, it's about Tahira. She comes from a normal middle-class family. She's good in tennis and her parents appreciate that. But as they say, we're middle-class people, you know, we don't make a career in sports.
Yeah.
So it's just
always a struggle.
It's always a struggle. And, you know, you can't really disagree with your parents because to some extent they are right. It's a risk. But it's very difficult also to completely give up your dreams. So the second book is about, you know, having faith in your dreams and working hard for them.
Okay.
And the third book, which is really very close to my heart, is the story of Roshni. It is about being a grown-up who is on a wheelchair. The reason this book is close to my heart is because I first thought of Roshni as an 8-year-old character. And in the third book, she's 18.
She's
so
grown.
In some ways, I really feel as if she's grown with me. And I really enjoy telling her story. So again, it's about when you grow up, you know, any young girl who grows up, you face a lot of problems. But when you are someone who's considered disabled, other people see you in terms of your disability, but you are so much more than that, you know. So like Roshni faces issues of people not interacting with her in college because they think, you know, she's physically handicapped. But she's just like any other person, you know. I mean, it's about seeing people beyond the labels that we give them. So
nice
that's
for you to like come up with this concept. That sounds really interesting.
I really enjoyed writing.
Yeah, that's nice.
So these are the three books, if I may just share.
Yeah, sure.
Wildcard. This is about Karan. And this is Wildcard 2. This is Tahira's story. And this is Wildcard 3, Never Say Never, which is Roshni's story. So this book came out in 2020.
Okay.
Wildcard 3.
That's
which
really
is why
interesting.
I felt all the more, you know, that I had to have something come out, because in 21 I didn't have any book out. So I thought that, you know, all that I've written
why not?
gives me a sense of satisfaction.
You have also won a lot of awards for your writing and your stories. So like tell us more about the awards and also some tips for the, you know, new writers who are actually participating in various contests. What would you like to say them?
First thing I will say to all the new writers is that you should participate in every chance you get. You never know what's going to work out. And more importantly, don't participate simply because you want to win a prize. Participate because it helps you become a much better writer. So for instance, one of the prizes that I won was the Story Awards. It was given by She the People. This is for short stories, which are called rabbles also, or flash fiction, not more than 100 words.
Okay.
I had never written this format, honestly speaking. I had never written it. But this is again during the pandemic. I didn't know what to write. So I thought, let me
give it a try.
So I gave it a try. I wrote 4 or 5. 1 or 2 I didn't like. And I entered, I think, 2 in this contest. One of them went on to win the prize. And it felt so great, you know, to have that kind of acclaim. Because it's something you try and you never really know what will click. And I realized, having written it, that it helps me even in writing novels, because each different form of writing helps you hone your craft, you know, because writing is also a craft. So having written flash fiction, now I find that certain scenes I can write better because I know how to tighten my writing. So I find it easier to cut out unnecessary words. And if you're a new writer, this is one thing which happens. You know, you write your manuscript, it's very nice.
It goes
then
on,
when you have to
on and on.
So then, you know, you face a lot of difficulties. So I would say enter a lot of contests, not just to win the prize. If you win it, that's great. But more than that, when you enter it, you will realize it really helps you as a writer. It really does.
So you have written like a full-length kind of novel, and you also are writing flash fiction, like with 100-word stories and all. So which one do you find, like what difference, or which one do you find more easy or difficult? And which one gets you more readers?
The difference between them, I will say, and this was again something which I read somewhere and it explains it so beautifully. A novel is a long train journey where you get on at one destination and you go on till the end of the destination. You get to know everyone in your compartment. A short story is a person who got on at one station and got off at the next. You know something about their life, but you don't know the background.
Oh, nice.
And travels or microfiction are like that one kid who comes running through the compartment.
Yeah.
He's just yelling something. He grabs your attention, but you really don't know much about it. I enjoy writing both short stories and novels. I find flash fiction a little more difficult to write because you have to be really very careful about the word limit. And that's something which I've written very little of. I do enjoy writing it. I really don't know which gets me more readers. I think in today's world, people prefer short stories, especially in ebook formats, because it's easier to read. A novel
easily
requires
accessible as well.
Yeah. And because of all these platforms which have now come out, like there's so many platforms which publish just a single story. So people find that easier to read. So I think short stories are going to become much more popular now.
True. So what are your plans from here? Like, are there more books planned, or what are your future plans now?
Yes. Right now I'm working on 2 manuscripts, both of novels. And I hope to have at least one out next year. So I'm in the stages of finalizing that. And I have been working on short stories also, because I've realized that is something which acts as a very nice break in between. So when I write, when you're writing novels, you can't write it for too long. So I will write a first draft, and when I'm keeping that aside, the other stories or the ideas which are there in my mind,
forming
I like
in your
to
mind.
write them out. Yeah. And the other thing is, some short stories, they start out as short stories, and when you start writing them, you realize you have material for something much more. So I feel it's always very good to explore the potential for each story.
Oh, that's nice. So we are expecting many more books and more stories from you in the coming years.
I would definitely hope so. Yes.
Good. So what is in your TBR? Are you planning to read more books from this carnival, or have you already picked up a few books?
Yes, I have read. I've read 3 or 4 books from the ebook carnival so far. I've read Humpty Dumpty's 10 Hats, which is again a collection of short stories. I've read Happy Endings, which is a collection of, I will say, longish short stories. So they're not very short, but they're not long. And I've read actually a collection of Drabble by, it's called A Potpourri of Drabble, which is just, I think, 100 stories. Very nice. And there are lots of really, really good books, which I have downloaded quite a few, and I will be reading them.
Nice. So would you like to read a few lines from your current book?
Yes. Just please give me a second. I will read it out to you. So this is the entry which I had written. This is a short story, a very short story. This is actually a flash fiction. This was the one which won me the prize for the Story Awards in She the People.
We'll love to
this
hear
is
that.
Also included in my book Life with a Pinch of Salt. So the title of this story is Fear. She was fast asleep when she felt a hand on her mouth. She jerked awake to see her husband signaling for silence. The clock showed it was past 2 a.m. She turned in panic to the baby, but he was fast asleep. Her husband gestured towards the door, still signaling for silence. Her heartbeat went up. Her heart started racing. What could have happened? Had someone died? God forbid, were there riots? What on earth had happened? All kinds of worrisome thoughts ran through her mind as she joined him. There's a lizard in the bathroom, he whispered. Can you open the window so that it escapes? Yes.
That's a good one.
The thing I think, and this is one small tip I would give for writers, if you like to write short stories, even Drabble, having a little, change at the end is what keeps the reader.
Kind of end with a twist.
Yeah, end with a twist always helps keep people engaged throughout.
Sure. So I will also tell the audience that we'll share all the links to our books and blogs, so you can read our books and definitely give good reviews. But we'll end this with the question for the audience that she has come up with a trilogy which she just showed to us, and you have to name the book. So name any of the books that she has written in the comments below, and you can be one of the winners of the mega prize at the end of the season. So Asfiya, wish you all the best with all your books and all the manuscripts that you are working on. And it was really wonderful to have you on this show.
Thank you so much, Rashi. It was my pleasure. I had a great time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.